Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Neil Lennon admits the championship has been tougher than he thought. Scott Brown has a bit of talking to do before committing himself to Scotland versus England. Dundee United are all set to go USA for new investment. Yeah, just a few of the talking points on this Tuesday evening. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. Lots to talk about, lots to get our teeth into, Ruffy. First and foremost, let's have a look again at, not too surprised by the continued fallout from the Scotland win over Slovenia. Here's a look at the newspapers, which, again, this is a little bit of a surprise, this, Ruffy. The Sun, beating the English could wreck my summer, because Scott Brown obviously is going to be talking to Brendan Rodgers and mulling over himself whether he's going to be available. Again, the Daily Record confirming that he's going to have a chat with Brendan Rodgers about his availability for this game. And there's the Daily Mail, Kieran Tierney in an embrace with him, and clearly he would want him to stick around for the game. And there's a Courier in Dundee just talking about the American funding, which we'll discuss later for Dundee United. But the Scott Brown one is an interesting one because, apart from anything else, there is a story suggesting that FIFA are analysing an incident in the game between Scotland and Slovenia, where Scott Brown has been accused of stamping on one of the players. The suggestion is he could be banned for the match. That aside, you know, Scott Brown, is there a dilemma? Surely I would take it as a given he's going to want to play in this match.
Yeah, I would as well. I mean, I was a bit startled this morning when I read it as well, you know, and I appreciate, you know, that Celtic have played a lot of games. He seems to be injury free just now, and you have to say that if he's worried about it, then the other 5 Celtic supporters players should be worried as well, because they're playing the same amount of games. You know, they're going to be playing in the Scotland fixture as well. Yeah. They might be playing in the cup final as well, so they have the same dilemma that Scott Brown has. But I don't hear any of them saying, "Oh, we're not going to make ourselves available for the 10th of June."
Is that a fair, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Ruffy. Is that a fair comparison on the basis that he's slightly older than the players who are in there? Craig Gordon's a different predicament as well, because Craig Gordon, speaking earlier today, has just basically said, you know, listen, he wants to cram in as many games as possible because he missed a huge chunk of his playing career with injuries.
No, I'm not going along with that one. Scott Brown is one of the fittest guys about. If you listen to anybody, he's possibly the fittest at the club. You know, it's a one game. It's a massive game that any footballer worth his salt would want to play in. You know,
yeah. You know why you know why he actually made the decision in the first place, because he was dogged by injuries last season.
Yeah, but he hasn't been for the last 6 or 7 months. Yeah. I mean, we haven't had any hint of that injury is reoccurring. You know, so I think he's got to put himself on the line. You know, we know we need him. You know, he's a good player to have in the team. All the other players, you know, generate from him. So no, I think he should. I mean, and putting it on to Brendan Rodgers, you know, what happens if Brendan Rodgers decides that, no, I don't want you to play, that makes Brendan Rodgers the baddie, you know, because everybody in Scotland's going to turn against him. So I don't think that's going to happen either. No, I just think there is enough time from them. If they win the semi-final, if they don't win the semi-final, they're going to win the league early enough to take a fortnight off.
Yeah.
You know, and there's your fortnight break. I appreciate the dilemma that he's got, but he didn't look unfit to me the other week there.
But remember, Ruffy, I'm only showing you the newspapers. It's a Tuesday story. Yeah. I mean, let's not get all emotional about it. All I would suggest to you is that he is going to play. I don't think there is a dilemma. I think he's definitely going to walk out at Hampden, barring, of course, you know, some kind of retrospective ban. I find that highly unlikely.
Yeah, but how positive would it be? We've already won the game, all right, with 2 minutes to go. We're now picking up the papers. We're all talking about beating England. You know, we're all on and up. The players are talking about beating them. Wouldn't it be good if Scott Brown had just come out and said, yeah, count me in. I'll be there. I won't miss that game. And then we're all going in the right direction now. We're going to be, is he, isn't he, you know, for the next...
No, I think he'll mention that maybe next Tuesday, just as a follow-up after the game against
that would be good.
Newcastle.
That would be brilliant.
Yeah, you happy
be great.
with that?
Yeah, because we need him.
Yeah, are you happy with people being positive, saying bring on England, we can beat them?
No, I'm not. Not with that, no. I mean, we are getting a wee bit carried away now. But yeah, we've got to believe we can beat them. You know, that on any given day we can beat anybody. You know, I know we're talking about the result was great the other night, and then Gordon starts talking it up. The players were all great. Well, I'm not falling into that camp yet. I thought it was a good performance. I think the effort was there. I thought the second half was a wee bit disappointing. But of course, he's got to be positive. He's got to be positive for the next game coming up. But we're 2 minutes away from the biggest fallout for the last 10 years.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, as I look at you, Ruffy, when you're answering sometimes, I think to myself, it's crucial that I don't hang about with you too long, you know, because that negativity could rub off on me. Let's switch our attention from Scotland to the Championship. I'm really looking forward to it, of course. As ever, Ruffy, the perfect night out, really. You just go to a wee Italian restaurant, you have something to eat, you stroll along to Easter Road and you watch Hibs against Morton. I can't think of anything better on Wednesday night. Yeah,
another big crowd there. I scored a late goal at the weekend. Morton, obviously, disappointing result. But they'll go there and give them a hard game. But again, you would like to think Hibs at home. You know, the players must have, you know, enough of a gap to go out and enjoy it. And if it was only 1 point or 2 points, they were clear, there'd be a nervous thing going round the stadium. But I think now that there's so many points ahead, they'll just motor on.
Yeah, okay, so you think just win against Morton, that's it, done and dusted?
Yeah, I think so. I think there'd be so many points ahead, you know, that they would have to throw it away.
Okay, of course, Neil Lennon's been talking ahead of the game tomorrow night, and he has revealed that the Championship's been tougher than he thought.
I didn't realise the league would be as strong, and certainly the quality of player, and it's very high level. You know, some of these teams could play in the Premier League comfortably. So yeah, it's been I wouldn't say an eye-opener, but it's been a surprise. That, you know, I thought that we would not storm the league. We're in a comfortable position at the minute, but you know, I thought we would win games by more comfortable margins. You know, we have dominated a lot of games. Now maybe that's down to us not taking our chances, or you know, other teams being very, very strong. And I think it's the latter more than anything else.
I think it merely emphasises the fact to me that I think we should have 16 teams constantly. Every time I you know, watch the Championship a lot this season, Ruffy, there's some good quality football being played.
Yeah, but I think that's what's going to happen out of this season. We'll start talking about it again. Unfortunately, we start talking about it at the end of the season. I'd like to see us talking about it at the end, you know, so we can take it on to the next year.
Yeah.
You know, and really do something about it, because I'm sure the 4 teams who are in the 3 teams that are in the playoff want to be there. They're all practically full time now. The players have come on, the clubs have come on. So why not? Let's try and think of a way. Everybody's obviously talking about the Rangers Celtic. There wouldn't be the same amount of games for them. But let's try and work a league, like a split or cutting it in 3s or whatever, and giving Rangers and Celtic the games they want.
Yep, well, Hibs are heading back to the Premiership very shortly. I think that's the general consensus. And Neil Lennon has admitted that a win over Morton and they'll be hard to stop.
Well, I mean, the gap would be significant then, with only 5 or 6 games remaining, and it would take us to lose, you know, maybe 4 or 5 of the next 6 games, and I don't think the players would let that happen. However, you know, we know how difficult the game is going to be. It's you know, the second part of 2 very important games we've had, with Falkirk at the weekend in a strong position. We've dealt with that one. It was a hard-fought win. I'm expecting to see him tomorrow.
John McGinn's back in the Hibs fold after coming back from international duty. Didn't quite get the appearance maybe he was looking for in the game against Slovenia. Did feature against Canada. But now it's the focus on Hibs, and he wants to make sure, like his teammates, that they get over the line.
It would be a really nice position, but we know there's still a lot of work to do. Morton are a good side. They've got a lot of good players, and they've really punched above their weight this season. So we know it's not going to be easy, and we really need to play like we did on Saturday and get a massive 3 points. Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting end to the season for us all, to still be into competitions, but it's important we focus on the games that are coming up, and we can't look too far ahead. We know that if we don't do the nitty-gritty early on in the season, then we can't get the reward at the end. So the manager's ensuring that we keep focused, and that's what we're doing.
Give us your prediction.
I think Hibs will win 2-0.
Okay, fairly straightforward from Ruffy. Coming up after the break, we will talk Dundee United. We're going to talk Rangers, Hearts and Celtic as well. And ahead of that Hearts-Celtic game, here's a wee question for you. The big madman with a hairy chest. Saw him at Hampden, he had clothes on.
Yep. I was at that game, you know, and when he went behind the goal and started running, I was wondering and hoping that he'd maybe got his act together by the time he got to the Celtic fans on the halfway line. But he immediately stopped just as he was coming into that territory, so he wasn't that daft.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems to be enjoying himself at Edinburgh City, and he's going to be a guest of ours very shortly, Ruffy, but we'll keep you posted on that. So, a couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, and one of them is Dundee United, because we showed you the back page of the Courier. Clearly Stephen Thompson's looking for some investment for Dundee United, and I don't think it's massive. I think it's to get them towards, you know, the start of next season. £300,000 from an American investor who I think was a Glasgow person but is a United fan.
Yeah, I think we all know the fallout when you go into a lower division. Obviously, at the beginning, the crowds weren't, and the revenue coming in, you know, from playing like Rangers and Celtic and the big teams aren't there. So you've got to make adjustments, and obviously it's hit them very, very hard being in that division, because the crowds have went up, like Hibs, who are up at 16,000. Yeah. So yes, they'll need to generate some money, and if somebody was to come in, I think the family have put in a lot of money over the last 5, 6, 7 years, you know, so maybe they've just said, look, let's take a wee step back here and get a hand from somebody. Yeah,
they're obviously going to be looking for the season tickets to come in great numbers as well, looking for United fans in the area to show up in great numbers. Will they do that, Ruffy, if United don't get through to the Premiership via the playoffs? Because I wouldn't be betting on them.
No, I think at this stage, you know, they don't look certs, you know, apart from the weekend there when they won the Cup. Their run of form has been poor, and they've actually admitted that, you know, so they would have to go on some kind of run. But I think the expectation of them being back in the big league will be there, you know, and that they will be really disappointed if they don't make it.
Well, here's a question for you. Should we have expected more of Ray McKinnon? Stephen Thompson, the chairman, says that he won't be viewing Ray as a failure if they don't make it via the playoffs, but should we have expected more from Dundee United when you consider what they have available to spend in comparison to Falkirk and Morton?
Yeah, I think they've obviously had a route they wanted to go down at the beginning of the season. They were obviously knew there was going to be a cash fallout. They went with a lot of young players. Looking at them the weekend, a lot of them were very impressive. A lot of them are in the under like 19s and under 21s. So there is maybe, like Hibs, you know, that there might have to be a year fallout. You know, you might have to be a hit. Obviously, the disappointing Hibs not going up last year was there for everybody, but maybe Dundee United are like all the other big teams who go down. Maybe they just need a year to get their act together.
Yeah, and a couple of other stories I want to talk about before we get to Hearts and Celtic, and one of them is Rangers. Pedro Caixinha trying to coax Billy Gilmour, the young talented player, from you know, heading south to, the rumour is, Chelsea once he hits 16. I think he's saying that he's going to be part of the plans for Rangers for the future.
Well, again, we have to see if the boy has the ability to play at a higher level. By all accounts just now, he is a terrific player. Everybody's raving about him. I think he has to really tap into the people who are giving him advice what he should do. I think a perfect example is the young boy Ryan Gould, who we all thought was going to be the next Kenny Dalglish, a fantastic young prospect. But whether it was right to go abroad or not, he's the only one that can tell. So I think if we listen to everybody that comes in the show, it's all about games. It's all about playing as many games as possible. And he has to say to himself, well, am I going to get the same number of games going down south as I possibly will get with Rangers in the next couple of years?
Yep. Hearts against Celtic. I don't think you can get a ticket for love nor money, because Celtic obviously can win the title based on the fact that they'll have to earn it if Aberdeen defeat Dundee on the Friday. So we're looking at it now. We're 9 games left in the season. This one's got the makings of a cracker. We all know what's at stake for Celtic, but as far as Hearts are concerned, it's quite a big couple of weeks for Ian Cathro. He reckons the next 3 games could define Hearts' season and where they're going to finish off. Celtic, St Johnstone, Dundee coming up.
I think it'd be a massive disappointment to the Hearts owners if they don't make Europe. I think their supporters deserve them to be in Europe, but obviously they have to finish in the right place. I think anything apart from that would be disappointing. I don't think they're going to be second or third.
Yeah.
So Europe is the carrot that they need to get, and I'm sure if they don't get there, I'm sure Anne Budge and Craig Levein will be hugely disappointed.
Yeah, you reckon the supporters deserve Europe? What is that, because they've been turning out in great numbers?
Yeah, I think they've been fantastic. I think, for the last 3 years, to the amount of money they're putting into the club to help to get the club back to where they were. Plus, it doesn't matter who they're playing. There's always a reasonable crowd in that stadium. I was fortunate enough to be at Tynecastle last week to see the new stadium, the new park going up. It looks really impressive, and if it's the same as the other 3 corners, it'll be an absolute wonderful stadium to play in.
You were there?
Yes, I was just browsing. I was just sort of in one of the function suites.
Ah, right, okay. You hadn't told me that. I thought, wow, was there any football going on?
No, none at all.
No, none at all. That's exactly why you caught me by surprise. Ruffy and football match, gobsmacked. Of course, Celtic can break a 100-year-old record that has been standing since Willie Maley was the manager. That's how long ago. Ruffy, you weren't with us at that point, so it was quite a time ago. 37 games undefeated domestically if Celtic avoid defeat on Sunday. Brendan Rodgers' boys will have broken a record that Willie Maley's side had.
Do you remember me? What was the last record they broke? Around about 30, 32? This year.
I can't
what was the
remember.
record they were going for?
I can't
There seems to be
remember.
another record that's just come out of there.
Well, what happens is a PR man thinks, how can we actually sell this on the back of it's nearly done and dusted, so let's come up with another record. Yeah. And by the time you get to the end of it, obviously the Invincibles is still on the cards, Ruffy.
Yeah, that would be incredible as a player. We saw what it was like, when Arsenal did it. We were still talking about it, and to be part of that team, if you get to not losing a game throughout the season, it's a history-making thing again, and if you're in the team, then you're part of it.
Yeah, the defining moment of any Invincible suggestion is going to be Hampden Park semi-final, surely.
Yes, I think that'll be a massive game. I think we'll all want to be at that one. I think it'll be a fantastic day out. I think Rangers have now on a one-off game that they're good enough to go along there and take Celtic, and who would argue with that, but I think Celtic will have something to say about that as well. But again, I think we're in for another spectacular day.
Okay, 2 or 3 quick points to finish, Ruffy, to get your thoughts on. Always good for the two of us to have a bit of banter about this. Liam Craig, former guest on the programme, signs a 2-year deal at St Johnstone, and well worthy of it. He scored a couple of crackers the other week there. Yeah,
we had him in the show after he was released from Hibs. Couldn't get his head round it, why he was one of the ones that was put out the door. He loved playing with Hibs, but he's found another home for him up there. We all fantastic midfield player who can score goals, as he's been doing this season. Yeah, absolutely. And Tommy Wright seems to have, got the best out of him and others, because he's keen to get some of the players that have really done the business for him on these 2-year deals. Yeah, and that's why St Johnstone are so good. They keep a hold of the players. It's a right family club. The players all seem to get on with each other. There's not the same quota of foreign players coming in and going out. They seem to be the same guys year in, year out, and if you can get them all on the 2 years, then it'll make it even better. Yeah, okay. Down south, there's a story that just will not go away, Ruffy, and I was wondering if you believe, like me, when a club like Real Madrid says they're interested in a player and it just keeps growing arms and legs, Eden Hazard. If Real Madrid want Eden Hazard in the summer, then they'll get him. Yeah, and I was fortunate enough when that news broke that I think Sky Sports were showing the better bits of his game, and some of the goals he was scoring were just fantastic. He is a quality player, and when you look at a player like that, you go, he is a Real Madrid player. Yeah. So I'm sure he'll be there. Providing, of course, he doesn't fall out with the manager, because if he falls out with the manager, then he's a dud. Yeah, he's already had a wee sort of a fallout this year.
Exactly what I'm talking
But
about.
it seems to me, remember we had a player in here who said, if you want to move, fall out with the manager.
That's exactly it, and that is from a player of the year to suddenly not kicking a ball for Chelsea. That's the only thing that leaves a little tarnish to his reputation. And Lionel Messi could be picking up, in fact he has picked up, a 4-game ban for foul and abusive language at an official. Who'd have thought? Here's a guy with a record which is beyond reproach.
Yeah, I couldn't have seen that coming. Obviously, I think that was it the referee.
I think it was the linesman. It was the linesman, Ruffy. Who'd have thought? Lionel Messi, and of course, Ruffy, such a likeable guy like yourself. I wonder if you've ever picked up yellow or red cards. I'm going to look into that before tomorrow's show. Thanks for watching.